Hello, Amplify You family. Michelle Abraham, your host here today. And I'm excited to bring you a behind the mic interview. Actually, it's probably more like an Ask the Expert interview, or a little bit of both. We're going to do both today. How about that? I have Agne Veckyte with me today. Agne, I'm so excited that you're here with me. You're all about helping our spiritual entrepreneurs get more visibility in their business, helping them step out into the world and embrace that woo side of them, which I know that's a lot of our audience. So I'm excited to talk to you today. You're an intuitive business coach, and we're so excited to dive into this topic with you today. How are you doing?
Hi, Michelle. I'm good. And thank you for having me here. I'm really excited to be here today.
You are so welcome. So I'm curious, did your interest in helping spiritual entrepreneurs start with your own spiritual journey? Have you tapping into your own intuition in business, or was that just something that kind of evolved over time? I would love to know where that started from.
Yeah, so I think it started probably with my own journey into embracing my intuition, embracing my intuitive gifts, becoming an energy healer. And that started with a deep, deep desire to help people. I was kind of coming off of a couple of years of like depression and feeling like I don't know what my purpose is. And I was working in corporate at the time, and I felt trapped because I didn't know, like, I didn't feel like I could find my place in the corporate world. It just felt, everything felt like I was like a very tiny cog in a huge machine making no difference at all. And that was, for me, I think that was kind of like the heartbeat of who I am, is I need to make a difference. I need to feel like I'm making a difference, even if it's in a single person's life throughout my lifetime. That's good. That's already amazing. So that was where I was searching for that. And on my journey, I found my intuitive gifts. Mm-hmm. I found a deep love for people and for their for helping them really find themselves, embrace their true selves. Because the way I work a lot with energy. Mm-hmm. And I do energy scans. And every time I do an energy scan, I get to touch someone's soul. And there's no way you couldn't love someone after you've touched their soul. It's so like, it's impossible. These two things, they just happen naturally. So I think through my own journey, and, it took a while. I started this journey over 10 years ago. So, and, for me, this naturally led to, connecting with other people who are also spiritual entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. And we would share, we would do like swapping sessions and helping each other with our businesses and helping each other with our fears and doubts and things like that. And I realized, oh my God, as spiritual entrepreneurs, we are a special breed of people, because it's like, we bring wonderful gifts to the world, but we also have, there isn't really a ready space for you as a spiritual entrepreneur. You have to make a space for yourself in the business world, in the human world, because it's kind of like bringing two different worlds into one. Mm-hmm. And then that kind of like, it takes, sometimes I think it takes more courage, to really be yourself. To say, yes, I am an energy healer. I am an intuitive, and I do business.
Right.
So, it's like, yeah, it's because historically these two things didn't match. They were on completely opposite side of the spectrum. They were kind of like the opposites of each other. Like, spiritual person and a business person generally didn't have anything in common.
Yeah. Well, it's lucky for us. We've like been working with people with a higher consciousness, I think. And so more and more of our clients have come, I want to say, coming out of the spiritual closet in business.
Yeah.
A lot of us have already, always had it in us, and we've always had that intuition in business. We just haven't really been that public about it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think we live in an amazing time where we can be all woo-woo and also be very good at what we do and, help with practical things in the world.
I think that's the fear, is that people don't, I think that's the fear I've heard from several clients, that the fear of not being taken seriously once they start hanging the spiritual flag. in their business. And I think we're so lucky that we're in the time and age that we are right now, where that's become more of a necessity in business to follow your intuition and be aligned and be in purpose with your soul's purpose. And the more successful you will be when you have those things in alignment.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I completely agree.
That's interesting. So I know Brayden and I had this funny talk with ourselves early on in the Amplify You space. We're like, what are we doing here? Like we want to be like the Hay House of podcasting. And so for those of you who are listening, probably know what the Hay House is, but it's like these spiritual, it's thought leaders, publishing house. Louise Hay started it many years ago, and it's got, so many spiritual authors that, talk about all sorts of things, intuitive in business and all that. And, as soon as we did, we started attracting all the people that are, including some of their authors, which I think is really cool. The next person through our door had one of their authors on the first podcast that they get published. So,
that's brilliant.
Careful what you put out there, right? Because it's really,
the universe always responds.
Yeah. So we've witnessed our clients using intuition in business and using their spiritual gifts in business, and it's been so cool to see. But now I know, maybe for our listeners, that's not the norm. So can you share with us, how do you start using your spiritual gifts in business if you're, you have some, but you haven't kind of mixed the two together yet? And also then how do you use them with your clients?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think for anyone who is kind of curious about how their intuition could serve them in business, one of the easiest way to use your intuition is if you have kind of two choices before you, and then just really listening to your gut. It's the gut instinct, what's the first feeling? Is it a yes or a no? Which one? Is this a yes or is that a yes? Or are none of them a yes? Or are both of them a yes? So it's kind of just allowing yourself a moment to hear that response, that initial response, and then actually following it through. And not allowing your rational mind to out-rationalize you. Just persuade you to not do that, because
you talk yourself out of it.
Yeah. It's yes, they probably don't do this for something that is has huge consequences, financial or otherwise, but maybe a smaller business decision, and where you have the space to play around and, kind of do this or that. And it's not going to have, until you trust your intuition well enough to be able to use it on these really big decisions. But actually really big decisions usually have a very clear message inside of us. It's either a hell yes or a hell no.
Right.
So yeah, I would say start there. This is a really good place to start. I mean, and also if we go into human design, a lot of people are generators, and I'm a generator, and the sacral authority is strong, so it's a very strong yes or no. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a good place to start, and it's and then once you can also play around with small everyday things, is it apple or orange? What's my gut telling me? Which one do I need? And that way you build a muscle of trusting that inner authority, without needing a lot of arguments and a lot of justification of why. Usually the why comes later, and the understanding of why this was the better choice. Kind of hindsight gives you that understanding.
Yeah. So I've heard from a few different clients. Well, first of all, one of my business coaches, she did a really great, kind of run through with me, why as a generator it's so important to listen to your sacral and to not act on decisions within the first 24 hours. So I actually sleep on them, because as a generator, it's okay, that's the answer. And like, let's get to work on it. It's like, you still got to check in like a day later that's still the answer. I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. All right. Like that, I got that now. And so for some people, you know, that checking in is like a sacral gut feeling. For other people, I've heard them do like an energetic, like, you know, if it's an apple or an orange, and then whatever way your body energetically.
It's like a kinesiology test. Yeah, you can use your body.
You can use your muscle testing, your body. You can use your pendulum. You can use all sorts of things. Yes. What's the caveat to that?
Okay, the caveat to that is that the body test or the pendulum, unless you kind of like you consciously ask for the information, like for the test to show you your soul's answer and really have that connection, it's going to show you what your subconscious believes. It's just for you. And your subconscious is a place where we keep all our fears and all our doubts and our limitations. Just kind of like being mindful of that. Yeah, it's a really good test, but it's a good thing. Okay, I'll tell you what I use muscle testing for. I used to test for limiting beliefs.
Oh, interesting.
Because then a lot of limiting beliefs are unconscious, so we know some of them, but we don't know a lot of them. And I always sort of I pay attention to my speech patterns. I pay attention to what I say, not what I want to say, but what words come out. And that's part of how I work with my clients. As I listen to them, people tell me a lot of their beliefs without really consciously thinking about what they believe. But it comes out in their speech patterns. It comes out in like sort of those Freudian slips and those kind of things. And then once something like this, if I catch something like this, then I will do a muscle test and see, is this a belief I have, or is it just something I said? And it's not really stuck in my subconscious mind.
Oh, that's fascinating. I like that.
Yeah. So this is really helpful as I'm working with clients sometimes, because for some of them, working with me may be their first experience with anything that's a little bit on the energy healing spiritual side, kind of like that deep intuition. And doing this is a very kind of clear, like, yes, it's there. Like they move their body and their body says yes, and it's there. And, you know, I'm not just making this up. Their body is confirming it. Right. Yeah. So it's actually really helpful, but muscle testing has its own limits. So just being aware of that is, because if you get an answer from like muscle testing and it doesn't really sit well with you, it just means you probably picked up a limiting belief from your subconscious.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Would you say that, you know, learning some of these skills would be really helpful when doing sales? And I know like this is like the limiting belief of the spiritual entrepreneur group is that, you know, because we're out there doing great things in the world, making impact in the world, helping people, that we should be being paid for it, or, you know, and it's one of those things that you see that a lot where, you know, and it's also in the health industry, right? And massage therapists and, you know, Reiki practitioners and people that are out there helping. So, how can we use this in our sales conversations or in our marketing?
Well, okay. So I would say this is probably best used before you go into sales conversations or before you do your marketing stuff. It's the part where you do your inner work. And I mean, coming from as a spiritual entrepreneur, I'm very familiar with like, you know, doing great work in the world, not getting paid. I call this the standard healer limiting belief package.
Yeah, it's like the punk artist thing too. Like we got to change.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of an archetype, but a lot of us are here to change that. Exactly. Yeah. So, what is interesting is that sales conversations, actually, from my experience, they're part of the kind of like the broader topic around visibility. And it's allowing yourself to be seen in all of your glory and allowing the worth of what you offer to be fairly compensated. So there's kind of like in my work, as I work with clients, we kind of identified like the key pieces of where is that kind of visibility block, where is it the biggest, what's standing in your way with most. And sales conversations might be one of those. Like it might be exactly like the biggest, scariest piece.
Right.
So then if we're talking about sales conversations, part of it is gonna have to do what is your relationship with money and making money. And as a spiritual entrepreneur, how do you feel about the fact that you are making money with your gifts? And then this piece here needs some healing. And then there are some other pieces in it, but it's often, I kind of identified almost like three sources for why as spiritual entrepreneurs, we can be stuck in marketing and sales. One is our relationship with money. That one is a big one. Well, another one is our relationship with the greater universe. Do we allow ourselves to be held? Do we allow ourselves to receive love? Do we allow ourselves to receive support from the greater universe? And then a lot of the times, as much as spiritual entrepreneurs have a beautiful connection with the universe and God and angels and whoever they're working with, it's still the source is the same. There might be a lot of limitations that we might have inherited or created unconsciously about really allowing the universe to be there for us and help us in everything we do. And the last piece is actually our relationship with ourselves. And these are all the personal fears and doubts. And am I good enough? I'm not good enough. I'm worthy. Who am I to do this? and all the stories of and the traumas and bullying and, anything else that, may come through and it all like collects and flows into business. So as you're trying to figure out your business stuff, you also have to do your personal stuff.
Right.
And all that inner work. So then the business stuff flows easier.
Right. And all three of those things are super important. And I would guess to say that most people that are healers and working in that space have become healers because they've done their own work to start with and see the impact and seen the powerfulness of it. But yet I would go out of the limb, and I know this is the one that I struggle with the most. You're all about giving and giving back and helping other people. Yes. The receiving part is a challenge.
Yes. Belongs in the standard healer package.
Right. Exactly.
Yes. I'm here to give. I'm not here to receive.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also too, like the more in alignment you are, the easier and the more flow it is. And you're being compensated for doing things that are really easy for you. So which I think plays a little bit of a devil's advocate for some people who are used to that traditional marketing or grew up with that, like, we work hard for our money kind of mentality that really spins around with our head when we're doing something that's so easy for us to do that we're getting paid for. And like, this doesn't even feel like work. It's so fun. I wake up every day, which is where you want to be. But but wait, I can just do this for free because this is so much fun.
Yeah, I should be doing this for free. Another part, I think, for spiritual entrepreneurs, because this comes from like, our work doesn't really often come from like a skill, like, I don't know, engineering, for example. I've studied for so many years. I've gained the skill. I've earned it. Our intuitive gifts
have a degree.
Yeah, I have a degree, very well. I don't know if there exists a degree for like intuitive abilities. It's a gift. And then it feels like, well, it was a gift. How can I charge money for using it? That's something that I didn't earn, in quotation marks. And then, well, the answer to kind of how I came to an answer for this question for me, because I struggled with it myself at some point, is that the gift is not only for others, it's for me as well. And the universe or the creator gave me this gift so I could use it for me as well as others. And for me, in a sense that I can help myself, but also that it is a way for me to make a living and to make money and to bring abundance into my life, so that then it can be amplified and the people around me can also join in that abundance field. So the fact that you have been given a gift doesn't mean you have to give it away.
Right.
It means you have to, because that's kind of what happens. I discover that I have a gift and that, I have to give it away to someone. I can't keep it. And that's not fair because, the universe gave you a gift first.
Right.
So use it.
So for those listening right now that are maybe like, but I don't know what my gift is, or did I get a spiritual gift? I don't know. So what would you say to those people in the audience right now that are maybe unsure of their gifts?
Okay. I would say everybody has spiritual gifts. But it's more like it's either a trained muscle or an untrained muscle. So if it's untrained, you will be unconscious of it, or you might see very, very small glimpses of it. So for example, because I wasn't born, I wasn't like a child psychic or anything like that. That was my gift didn't come to me until I think I was probably like 28. But the small glimpses of it, for example, there was a time where my boyfriend was telling me, we were both in a job search situation. And he was telling me about like, I was invited to go to this interview, but it's far. Like, I'm not sure if I'm going to go. And I had such a strong feeling like, you have to go to that interview. And I kind of told her, luckily he was open enough to my kind of intuitive insights. So I was like, I have a good feeling about this. You should go. Like, I know it's a bit inconvenient, but just go. And actually, he went and he got a job, and that job changed his whole career.
Oh, wow.
Like kind of a trajectory of where his life was able to go in that time. So yeah, I mean, it came out in these kind of like small instances. But it's more just a matter of finding a way to activate the gifts and to like train that muscle a little bit. And there are many, many different modalities that help you do that. What helped for me was a modality called theta healing. And it really allowed me to very gently, very lovingly connect to all of my intuitive gifts and practice them and train them and feel safe doing that. But anything that calls to you, and kind of another really good way to know more about what kind of intuitive gifts you have is actually getting an Akashic Records reading. Because I do those as well. And I experienced mine, I think, in 2018. And I was like, oh God, where was this information when I was dying to know my purpose and what my gifts are and all of that? Because I already knew a lot from kind of going through on my own journey of exploration. But that is very helpful just because it gives you like, okay, the universal library of everything that is telling me that I have a gift of intuition or a gift of empathy in this specific area. So maybe I should explore it somehow.
Yeah, that's so good. And actually, I learned it's really interesting that your business has its own Akashic Records too. So once you start a business, and so it's interesting going through a transition just recently of going from one business to another, letting go of one business. It was interesting checking in with the records on that because it was like, it's time for you to let it go and let someone else take it on. And that was really cool. I love learning about the Akashic Records. I took a soul care certification with Deanne Rendu, who's one of our podcasters, and it was fascinating to be able to tap into that. And it's funny, I don't use it as often as I should. I should be opening them like more often. I always forget to do it. It's one of those things that, that gift is there to be able to be accessed, and I always forget about it.
I call it that your business has a soul. And that soul has a desire to be expressed in a certain way. And then it's almost like your business can be a partner in conversation. I actually have a process that I teach my clients where they can kind of go into like a meditative visualization and sit with the soul of their business and have a conversation and also invite their ideal clients into that space. It's a wonderful experience. It's also kind of like it's fun, it's playful, but it gives you a lot of information and a lot of guidance, and it also shows you a lot of the blocks and the limitations and the kind of like what's standing in your way from taking the next step.
Interesting. Yeah, just saying that reminds me that I have not gotten into the Akashic records of my new business. So and your business is high vibe leaders. So that would probably be a really important, and that whole program and that whole business is completely downloaded to me. So I really should check in with like Akashic records on that.
Yes. Yeah. Really, it's very easy to forget. It's kind of like, even for all of us who have like intuitive tools,
right.
It's sometimes you just get stuck in this like mundane stuff and problems and solutions and action, and then you forget that you have the tools to do.
Right. And you like, you're trying so hard, or you're working so hard, and you're like, pushing. It's like, wait a second. We know there's a better way of doing this, and like a more natural way that's supposed to be done.
Yes.
It's like, oh my gosh, even gotta keep remembering. I have to keep reminding myself of that, even though I'm surrounded by it all the time. It's still good to remember. So before I let you go, with a couple of pieces of advice for our listeners sitting at home. So our listeners are typically thinking about starting a podcast and getting more visibility. They are looking to step up into the world and share their message with the world. What would you say to them, and along the lines of the work that you do, that would be really helpful for them right now? And it's that thought process of like, before taking the leap into visibility.
Yeah. Okay. So usually before we take the leap into visibility, what comes up is a whole lot of fear. Yeah. And, so I would say I would say before we really like, and the instinct is to push the fear away. No, it's fine. But then the inside of you, it's like, dying, and then your stomach's in knots, and you're full of anxiety, and you don't like, your brain's foggy. So I would say before you push the fear away, don't have a conversation with your fear. It's there for a reason. And it can be a simple journaling exercise, or it can be kind of a meditation process where you go into a safe space and you invite your fear to have a conversation with you as if it were a different person. But I think just knowing that there's no part of you that actually wishes you harm. All the parts of you, even the ones that are, fearful or angry or opposing to what you do, they're doing that for a reason. And usually it's some kind of, I want to keep you safe. Right. So having that conversation with that fear, it can give you, an idea of why it exists. It can maybe bring up, a situation you have experienced as a child, or I don't know, early in your life, where you were hurt, or in some way you didn't feel great, or something happened, and then that fear is connected because your subconscious mind does not want you to experience this again, right? So uncovering those kind of things and saying, okay, thank you, I hear you, but I am ready. I am responsible for me. I will take the consequences of this choice. I have the freedom to choose, and I choose to move past the experience and past the fear, and what my desire for this new thing is bigger than the fear of experiencing something that I have experienced in the past. And do this as many times as you need to. That's the thing. It's like, just forcing the fear away, it's going to come back even stronger. Yeah. So I would say this is the first step. The second step is, really understand your why, and make the why so strong that it would be like a magnet. So your fear is probably like a magnet pulling you back. Your desire for the new thing, for starting your podcast, it's going to pull you forward. Because I have to say, in my life, the times where I took the kind of the biggest leaps, it almost felt like I didn't have a choice. It felt like there was a force inside of me that was just pushing me into that path. And actually, sometimes if you find your why, if you know your desire, and in this place, it's important to be very, very honest with yourself. Why are you doing this? And it doesn't have to be this great big reason for I want to serve humanity. It doesn't have to.
Right.
As long as you're honest, it can be like, I don't know, I want to be famous. And I want to experience that feeling of everybody recognizing me. I don't know. I'm just making things up.
It's funny that I work in the space I do, because I do not want to be famous ever. Like that is not something I ever want to experience.
Yeah.
I'm happy to help other people get famous, but I do not want to be famous. So. It's funny. Yeah. One of our clients, Cheryl Brewster, she has this really great thing. It's like I call it the 7-layer dip, but it's just like 7 layers of why. So like if you feel like your why is too service level for you, just go and why until you feel like it's like landed for you. I thought that's so
yeah. I think that is a wonderful exercise. I've done it myself as well, actually. I think from a different person, but a similar idea is that you keep asking yourself the why until you can't get any deeper, until there's nowhere to go. It's like you keep hitting then the same place over and over and over again. And then it's a matter of soul-aligned action.
Ooh, I like that word. I like that phrase, soul-aligned action.
Yes. So what it looks like is just, for me, I connect to my soul, I connect to the creator, I connect to my business soul, and then I ask, okay, what is the next action that I need to take to reach that goal that I set for myself, for my business? What exactly does it need to be? Sometimes the answer comes immediately and I get kind of like a whole business plan, right? And sometimes it's more just like a feeling, and sometimes the answer is wait. And I don't like that answer.
But because you're a generator, if you don't like that.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes the answer is just wait. Give it a day or two, give it a month. And it's not time yet. And actually, if you get that answer, then okay, the next question can be, okay, what can I do to prepare for that step when the time is right? And then again, just listening to that kind of like, it will be like an impulse, or, right. Sometimes it comes through something you see on social media, or like an opportunity or a training program or a book, or just being open to kind of those answers that come from the greater universe to you. Because I know not everyone is used to like receiving information through channeling. Yeah. But if you ask the question, the universe will find a way to deliver an answer. There's a saying that,
as long as you're paying attention to it.
Yeah. It's I don't remember the saying specifically, but it's kind of like when it's needed, even an ant will be your messenger. Something like that. Yeah. Like, the universe will send an ant with a message to you, or a bug, or someone.
My husband and I, we were talking about moving to where we live now, which is our family's like summer vacation place. And we talked about moving there. We went there every weekend. We talked about it for like years. And, we kept getting little nudges. He's not happy with his job. Finally, like, the universe is so funny because it like gives you like all this, like, brings you the messages, brings you these messages. If you ignore them, that's one other thing. So when we ignored them, the water pipe in our house broke one morning at like 3:00 in the morning. We had to move out of our house for 6 weeks. While we were out of the house, we made the decision to put our house for sale. We sold the house in 2 days, and now we've lived where we lived for 6 years. So had that water pipe not broke, we probably still would have been talking about it. But then the universe was like ready to kick us in the butt because we're not listening.
Yeah, it will give you gentle nudges and, kind of like a soft inspiration. And then at some point, if it's something that your that is your soul's plan. I call it divine timing. Mm-hmm. If it's your divine timing, there is nothing you can do to avoid it. Right. Your soul has made an agreement to do this. So your soul is going to, ask the universe for help to make sure to put you on that path. So then you can get what your soul needs you to get from that experience.
Yeah. And it's been a great experiences then for us. So grateful for it. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Agne, this has been so fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today. How can our audience reach out to you, find out more, how to work with you, all that kind of good stuff?
Okay. So at the moment, the easiest place to find me is on Instagram. And it's, my handle is at agne.veckyte, which is my name and last name with a dot in the middle. Come and find me there. I currently work one-on-one with clients, so just feel free to DM me and we'll talk about, how it could be helpful. I'm creating my website and everything else at the moment. So that's why I'm just giving you one place where people can find me.
We're all about that. At Amplify You, we still don't have a really great website and we've been doing business for 7 years. So it's all good.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's the universe will bring you the right guys no matter what on the website. So I wanted you to spell out your name though, so people can find you just in case they can't figure out how that's spelled.
Okay. Yeah. So, it's AGNE, .VECKYTE.
All right. You guys got it there. Go find her on Instagram. Give her some love and thank you for coming on our show today.
No, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. This was so much fun. We'll be in touch again. I loved it. And all right, Amplify You. Go out there. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you again next week.